A U.S. ally just sent soldiers with explosives and blood supplies, not to fight Russia, not to fight China, but to fight us. And that is not even the most insane thing that happened this week. I am not exaggerating. I am not being dramatic. If you pitched any single one of these stories to a Hollywood producer, they would throw you out of the room. They would say, no, that is too much. That is not believable. Nobody's going to buy that. And yet here we are. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you are going to question everything you thought you knew about the world we are living in right now. Let's start with Denmark. Yes, Denmark a few weeks ago. Denmark quietly deployed soldiers to Greenland. And I want you to hear what I am about to say very carefully, because this is not a drill. This is not a training exercise, and this is not a movie. They brought live explosives, enough to destroy the runways at Greenland's airports. And they brought blood supplies, not for a medical exercise, blood supplies in anticipation of actual combat. Casualties, real ones. Who were they preparing to fight? The United States of America. Let that land for a second, Denmark. A country that has been one of our closest allies for decades. A country that shares intelligence with us. A country that has stood beside us through war after. War was sitting in Greenland with explosives and blood, drawing up contingency plans to blow up their own airports, to stop American troops from ever setting foot on the ground. And why? Why? Because Donald Trump has been openly threatening to take Greenland by force. So Denmark did the math. And the math said if us military aircraft try to land here, we blow the runways before they touch down. Think about what that means for a moment. If Trump actually orders military action on Greenland, we are not just in a conflict with Denmark. We are technically at war with every single member of NATO. That is the treaty. That is how it works. You go after one, you go after all. And now, thanks to this reporting, we know exactly how that war would begin. Now let's go to Hungary. Viktor Orban, an authoritarian, aggressively pro-Putin, and currently hemorrhaging support ahead of elections next month, has somehow become America's new best friend. Secretary of State Marco Rubio just flew out to visit him. J.D. Vance is scheduled to visit him very soon. And this past weekend, Donald Trump recorded a warm, glowing video endorsement for Viktor Orban. Our government, the United States government, is doing everything in its power to prop up this man, to fluff him up publicly, to make him look strong, because if Orban actually lets those elections happen, the polling strongly suggests he is going to lose. So we are trying to save him. But Russia is taking a more creative approach. The Washington Post reported this weekend that Russia's Foreign Intelligence Service, the SVR, has been in a panic over Orb's collapsing poll numbers. And in that panic, SVR officers floated a proposal they called the game changer, a move they said would, in their own words, fundamentally alter the entire paradigm of the election campaign. So what was the game changer? Stage a fake assassination attempt on Viktor Orban. That was the plan. Manufacture a crisis, make it look like someone tried to kill him, watch the country rally behind their threatened leader. Steal the election not with ballots but with theater. And understand they were already doing plenty. Russian operatives had already launched social media campaigns to boost Orban's image, just like they did for Donald Trump. They were already destung, spreading fake A. I generated videos smearing opposition candidates. They were already planting false allegations against Orban's political enemies. All of that was already in motion. And apparently, it still wasn't enough. So they started talking about faking an assassination. This is not a spy novel. This is the news this week. And then there is the Strait of Hormuz, one of the single most important shipping lanes on the entire planet, choked off right now because Donald Trump started a war with Iran. A war he has never clearly explained. A war whose goals he has never once credibly articulated to the American people. On Saturday, Trump issued an ultimatum. He said, if Iran does not open up the Strait of Hormuz by Monday, By today, he would bomb Iranian civilian power plants. And he didn't leave any ambiguity. He said he would start, and I am quoting him directly, with the biggest one first. I want to be clear about what that is. Bombing civilian power infrastructure is not a military tactic. It is a war crime. He announced a war crime on Saturday, like he was posting a threat on social. Media out loud on the record to the world Monday came. He backed down. Now he says there are new talks happening. The Iranians say there are no talks. Trump still will not say who exactly he is supposedly talking to. Only that the conversations are going really. Well, meanwhile, he is sending 4,500 sailors and Marines into the region. The New York Times is reporting he is now considering deploying the 82nd Airborne Division as well. Here is the rule. Watch what he does, not what he says. Because what he has done is stumble into a war with no exit strategy, no clear objective, and no plan for what happens to the global economy when one of the world's most critical shipping lanes stays shut down indefinitely. And there is nothing to suggest he has any idea how to finish what he started. And while all of that is happening, while a war burns, while a NATO ally was secretly preparing to blow up runways to stop us, while Russia schemes to fake assassinations and steal elections, here is what is happening to ordinary Americans right now. 2 million people have lost their health insurance since January, not because of a recession, not because of a pandemic, because of deliberate Republican policy choices. And for millions more, the cost of health care has become dramatically, crushingly more expensive. Again, directly because of Republican policy choices. The Federal Reserve just confirmed zero net job creation in the private sector over the last 6 months. Not slow growth, not disappointing growth, zero. A Trump-supporting Republican sheriff in Riverside County, California, has seized over 1,000 boxes of election materials, including more than 650,000 ballots from the last statewide election. His office has zero legal authority over elections. He has no jurisdiction here whatsoever. But he has a badge, his deputies have guns, and he says he heard something was wrong. So he just took them. American airports are collapsing. Jet fuel prices are surging because of Trump's war in Iran. Security lines at Houston's airport are running 4 hours long. Atlanta is telling domestic travelers to show up at least 4 hours before their flights. And today at LaGuardia in New York, a runway collision killed 2 pilots and sent 41 people to the hospital. So what did the president do about the airport crisis? He told Republicans at a campaign event in Tennessee that he did not want it solved. He explicitly said he wanted no talks, no negotiations, no resolution to the TSA crisis, not until Democrats agreed to pass new restrictions on voting rights. He said Republicans had to get it done. And I am quoting him directly here, for Jesus. And the ICE officers he sent to airports to supposedly help with the disaster. According to MSNBC, those officers cannot check IDs. They cannot screen passengers. They have no training to do any of it. They are simply standing in terminals collecting full paychecks, while actual trained TSA agents, the people who know how to do this job, are not being paid to come to work at all. Here is what I need you to understand. None of this is normal. The danger is not just in any single one of these stories. The danger is in all of them hitting at once so fast, so relentlessly, that it becomes nearly impossible to keep track of any of them. You can't focus on the war because the airport is on fire. You can't focus on the airport because Denmark just mined the runways. You can't focus on Denmark because Russia is faking assassinations. That is not an accident. That is the strategy. If you want to stay sharp, really sharp, not just angry and overwhelmed, subscribe and turn on notifications. Because this is exactly the moment when staying informed is not optional. I'll be back with what happens next. And there is always a next.